mentioned, Kim is my vice. And I'm also, of course, the volunteer genealogist committee chair. So thank you very much for being here today. I really do appreciate it. I have gone ahead and looked at a lot of stats and a lot of training records, and I see that we've got a variety here, and I like that a lot. That's what I would like to continue to have, to where we can have questions, we can get answers. And if we can't provide answers, we know that we could go find them and then report back. That's research, you know. So, as Barbara alluded to, Barbara Jers and I work very closely together in that she is the Lineage Research Committee chair and I am the Volunteer Genealogist Committee chair. When I accepted this position, I drilled Barbara. What's the difference? What am I walking into? I know we're going to work well together and I'm looking forward to that, but what is it you do that I do different? I think I got my head
Everything.
around this. What's that?
Nothing. I'm sorry. I was being silly.
You're fine. We like it when you're silly.
No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be quiet.
I've asked, oh, we've got Miriam Mitchell joining us. I'm going to tell you what the Volunteer Genealogists Committee does, and then I'm going to ask Barbara to chime in and let you know what her committee does. Are you with us, Marion? Somebody just, I think she's just still trying to get caught in. It takes a minute. As a Volunteer Genealogist Committee, one thing we focus on supplementals. So my focus is the members, those people that have already joined the DAR, by helping them with their applications, their supplemental applications. In order to do that, it fits very perfectly that I would be a cheerleader for the GEP courses, because in order to help members know what the DAR standards for genealogy applications are, that's part of what I do, and the courses line up with that. So that's kind of, I think, Barbara, in a nutshell, what do you think? I mean, how would you explain what the Lineage Research Committee does?
Well, thank you, Susan. I was going to add one more thing, and I didn't have a chance to go back over your the Volunteer Genealogist Committee update on the webpage. But and correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past, that committee also would supply volunteer genealogists to chapters that are fledgling or who need to have help with applications. And
Absolutely.
and correct me on this, that may be where we could overlap, because do they still work on applications for the new members, because those chapters are either without a registrar or they are fledgling and losing members? Do I have that still correct?
You are absolutely right. And I did overlook that. Barbara, I will share with all of you in this Zoom call something that's got me personally very concerned. Like I said, I've gone through and I've crunched a lot of statistics. We're almost 5,000 strong in the state of South Carolina for DAR. Less than 3% of our members have taken any GEP training. That breaks my heart, because like Barbara said, there may come a time when there's a chapter that's in trouble that they ask for a volunteer genealogist, just like Barbara said, to come to their rescue and help them out. Well, that's why, Barbara, my big focus is getting a lot more members trained this first year of our administration.
I agree totally with you, and also from the lineage research perspective, even though we are doing research when it's tough, registrars can't find them, or the lineage research chairs and the committee. In order to do that research, you have to have an understanding of the requirements and policies and be able to understand an application completely. And so
And
GEP benefits lineage research also.
absolutely. And there's a lot of people that we're getting some feedback. I don't know if is that you, Miriam? Do we
It
see you?
may be. I'm trying
No,
to
I'm
get
seeing you and I'm
in.
like, oh, hi.
I think I'm going to turn off the computer and
No,
just stay on with the cell phone.
Okay, wait a minute, Marion. Do you have both the cell phone and the computer going? Is that what it is? Because I can I can mute you. We were just talking about that I wouldn't, but
Got,
got it?
yeah.
Okay.
So
Um,
Susan, do you want me to wait or do you want me to tell a little bit more about lineage research? I'll do whatever you would like.
you go right ahead, Barbara.
No, I mean, okay.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So with lineage research, a registrar of a chapter or a regent can contact me because the registrar or perhaps the lineage research chair that are working together have run into a problem where they don't have a document that is required and they don't know where else to look. So a request is made and there is a form. A lot of calls though or emails come to me and we first talk about it and then make a decision as to whether we need to make a formal request because sometimes the questions are just really easy things that the registrar just needs a little bit of assistance and maybe doesn't know where to look for something simple and it can be solved. But the ones that are very complicated, there is a request form process and the information has to be triaged because we are supposed to try to take care of as much of it as we can on the state level with the resources that we have here. And then if we can't, say it's sample of something that is in Illinois and nobody here has a lot of research expertise in Illinois, then I can request up the line to our national chair, who then makes a determination. Is this something that needs to go to the team that Illinois is in to do boots on the ground? Or is this something that it requires an analysis and nobody has been successful with an analysis. So she sends it to the proper team that works in lineage research that works on analysis. Or is this an error letter that has been returned on a brand new member and nobody can figure that out. And so we ask Susan Johnson, our national chair, to send it to the new task force, which is not anything like the old task force. It's dealing with the errors that are problems. So we're dealing with research, finding documents, finding out where we can go to get more things and making a decision on the state level. Is it something we can solve with our experts here, or does it need to go up? And then we also have the virtual support program that you can request to have someone help you brainstorm. We also have the new peer review where an application before it's sent up to DAR is it goes to a team of two experienced and selected genealogists that will review that application and then get back with the registrar and say, we think it's good to go. Is it a guarantee? No, but they will say, oh, we think you're going to have a problem and it'll probably generate an error. So that's it in a nutshell.
Barbara,
Questions?
right, just an hour or so before this meeting, I got a phone call. This is the first Barbara and I've talked about it. We probably would beforehand. So you get to see how we interact on things like this. But I got a phone call from a registrar who had a member who had put together 3 supplementals, received first contact letters. Those were answered. They resubmitted them, received 3 errors, AI errors. She just found out last week, the member, not the registrar, that she has terminal cancer and she's got 12 to 18 months to live. The registrar asked her, how important is this to you? And she said, I want my patriots recognized. So I was not sent the documents because the registrar believes that we're in a situation of over documentation. Plus, she doesn't have them. The supporting documents are all in the member's possession. The way I look at this, Barbara, I would like to find some volunteer genealogists to step in to take a look at these. Is that what you believe?
Yes. Yes, I think any support, because it does come under supplemental that, comes under your area. And I think you utilize whatever avenues that you have on the state level, in reaching out, like analyze it. Is it a boots on the ground document that you need to, proceed with trying to find out how to get that? Or is it an analysis problem?
I
Try
think
to.
the dirty problem, from what I've seen of just the application itself, looks like there's just a lot of excess stuff and there's notes in the citation areas all over the place. It's just,
Okay, so it's got to be streamlined.
I believe, like I said, it just happened and I had a chance to just peruse it real quickly. I think somebody that wants to really play with the new standards and as strict as they are being, this is a great exercise for them to be able to get their heads wrapped around.
And I will, if I may share this, I can't remember whether it's at Continental Congress or the GRI. One of the national leaders who's also on that team that reviews the supplementals to make a decision as to whether they get returned or not, said that something that she may see as a problem might not be what the partner next to her sees as a problem.
Right.
So we're still dealing with a little bit of difference until this gets, and we hope it's temporary, but until it gets standardized. Somebody who might think that there's excess documentation, someone else might not. But a lot of them that do have the excess documentation where, like, one fact is being proved by 3 or 4 different documents that is unnecessary, they're going to send that back with the check and the documents and the application.
So Barbara,
Yes,
your committee then basically works with new applications only?
that is what it says.
Okay,
Have I gotten some questions? Yes, but I always state if it's something simple, I'll answer it, but you do realize that Susan Faulkner is our new,
supplemental lady.
and supplemental, person.
Okay,
Just as I'm sure she does the same for me, because I have confidence that I think Susan's going to know backwards and forwards, a particular question that's just a simple answer, she could answer. And
right,
I'm officially a volunteer genealogist, like the rest of you who've taken at least 2 courses,
right.
you know. I don't know
Okay,
if that
thank
answers
you.
the question.
You did. Thank you.
So one of the things that I was kind of looking at, because of the conversations that I've had with several members over the last couple of weeks, is, and I'd like you guys' opinion, we can talk about other things if you don't want to go this direction, but I wanted to look at the guidelines on the DAR website and make sure that we're all familiar with and know exactly how to contact or how to look at them. So let me pull that up. Let me share my screen here. Okay, so you can see my screen.
Need my glasses.
Do you see the website screen? I don't know.
No.
What you see. Okay.
Yes.
So if we just go to the members website.
No.
So as if I had already logged in, this is the first page that comes up. We could
Mhm.
just scroll on over here to genealogy and actually click on that word to get to the main gateway of so many resources.
Mhm.
The first things that we see here are the genealogical guidelines, part 1, part 2, and part 3. I was really looking at these the last couple of days thinking if I could define what the genealogical guidelines or the genealogy guidelines are in one sentence so that it would make sense and make it easy to remember, what would I say? What I came up with, Barbara, by all means, you will not interrupt me. You just chime right in there if you find something different, okay? The genealogical guidelines, part 1, is a love letter to the registrar. Tells her what she needs to know, how she, you're laughing, Barbara, what she needs to know, just the details of her job. So for us in the volunteer genealogists committee, we might have registrars with us. We can see what they're supposed to be working on, but a lot of times in our capacity, that won't necessarily be applicable. I mean, it'd just be lesser importance of the three guidelines. Guidelines part 2 addresses research, how to fill out the application. It's my first go-to because there are a lot of very strict standards within the DAR verification process. This is a nice little cheat sheet a lot of times for exactly how they want the citations written, or what they're looking for as far as what's going to be acceptable. It doesn't specify whether this is acceptable or not, but it does give you a lot of guidance to let you make that evaluation. And then genealogy guidelines part 3 is really the steps necessary to prove the patriot. I will tell you, however, in part 3, there's a lot of really good research links and a lot of good information in there as far as research itself, places to go look, especially when you're getting back to the child and the grandchild of the patriot. When you get back to that area where it gets a little difficult, there are some nice research ideas in there. Even though they say it's for the patriot, it can still work. Go ahead, Barbara.
Susan,
Yeah.
one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that there's information on the service and the patriot and the family in the part 2 that is not in part 3, and items in part 3 that are not in part 2.
I appreciate you bringing that up. I don't know if
A lot
I
of
don't know
people
if I
do not realize that, and when you do the function key search, you're in a particular part 1 or part 2 or part 3, and you often don't think about going back and double checking. And every once in a while, you'll find something in part 1 that you need when you're really maybe in part 2. So just always keep that in mind.
And they are the guidelines. So I mean, you're absolutely
Yes.
right. It is one working tool. It's now different people do different things their own ways. So I know some people, I believe Barbara's one of these, that she will go here so that she could just do a quick search if she needs to. Is that what you said, Barbara, to me before? That you'll access?
Sometimes I do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, like if I'm looking for a very particular thing I've got to find fast, I'll go to part 2 if I know it's going to follow under part 2 and do a keyword search. Other times I might need to look at a whole section in its context, like citations, or what do you do in the first 3 generations? I don't know if that's answering your question.
It is. I have a tendency, and I know I'm terrible to the conservation committee when I say this, and I know that it's not recommended, but everybody does their thing their way. I get out my pre-drilled paper and I print these things out because I like to go sit in my backyard and just enjoy them.
Oh, I agree with you. I always have a paper copy, always, and electronic. But I like my paper copy because I can mark it up.
I don't know, Emma. I am surprised, and I think that anybody that follows the doc or Facebook on any of the lineage research topics will also be surprised how many people ask questions that the answers say, well, in the genealogy guidelines or in section 2, 3.4, or whatever. And I love those ladies that can sit there and drill down to exactly where the answer is in the genealogy guidelines. But the guidelines are that easy to follow, especially when you get down here to, where was it I was looking at? Here's some of what they want for the way that they want dates or places written out, and the citations themselves. And I'm going to show you another a good place, but here's examples of correct usage of historical accuracy. One of the things that I've really gained out of this is being able to look at what is it supposed to look like. Does my application look like this? And it gives examples of what you're looking at on the bottom of it there. I scroll a little too fast there. This is why this is good. The other thing that was a life changer for me, and I think now that I'm bringing it up, I should have had a better example. I think it's in here. Barbara, I'm looking for the verification marks. Do you think that's in Guidelines 2
Yes.
or 3
Um,
or 1.
I think in part two
Here it is.
where
That's
there's
what I'm
some, okay, it's in part two, isn't it?
Yep.
It gives examples of a good application and what a not to do application. And I think then it also has a section. I guess you found it.
I did. One of the best things that I think any DAR, lineage researcher, genealogist, whatever name you want to put on it, can do for themselves is to review another person's application. We've got a lady in our chapter that loves to research, and I have spent hours and hours reviewing her work, and I have learned so much, and she has become a lot better researcher. And I've learned to use these marks, and they become second nature, and they mean a lot. And I'm showing you this so that if you go back and you look at applications that have been verified, you can see exactly what it means. Okay, they've got lots of little tick marks. Those are different types of tick marks, and they have a shorthand to them. As you can tell here, is it this one? So you see these tick marks are in front, and then there's other ones that are on every, these are cleaner, but okay,
Go
John
back
Vaught.
to the tick marks.
Okay, let's use this one. Okay, so John, can you guys see this, or do I need to make this bigger? Can you see it?
I
That's
can
better.
see it.
Okay, so
Oh,
on
that's better.
John,
That's better. Yeah.
on John Vaught here, there's a tick mark over John,
Hmm.
and there's also a tick mark over Vaught. What that is telling us is that both the name John and the name Vaught have been proven, and it just says they've been proven. It doesn't matter if it was with 2 separate documents or 1. Typically it's 1, but each one of those bits of detail has been proved. Okay, same thing with December 1888. Now, if you look over here at Knob Fork, that has parens around it. That was never proven. So when they got done or approving or going through the verification process of this application, they were like, oh, this has never been proven. It doesn't pass the test. So when this would go to the GRS eventually down its life, you would see John Vaught, born December 1888 in Grayson County, Virginia. But this is what it looks like when it's happening. So here you see Piney Creek didn't make the cut, but Allegheny County did. May 19th didn't make the cut, but they changed it to circa 1897. Then you can
Okay.
understand the rest of it. This little thing right here is so very important when you see anything written in there, and that is what it was that proved the lineage link. So in this case, it was a marriage record that showed Mary Kirk was the daughter of Jacob Kirk and Elizabeth Poole. You've got to have that lineage link. Now, when you get down here to this next generation, you see the tick marks are at the first part of this data set. That means that was already proven. It was inherited, if you will, from the application that this application tied into. It's already been verified. It's as good as it needs to be.
I'm getting lost.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
you're fine, Marion.
They said Mary Kirk, and then there's an MR. What does that stand for?
Marriage record.
Marriage record.
Right.
Okay.
So, and you'll find will or DC for death certificate, deed, whatever the lineage link was proved by, there will be initials or some sort of a clue there. Let's see. They've got a couple of. In here, Marion.
Yeah.
Especially since you asked the question. Here's another example of the tick marks. And here.
Wait a minute. Are we on Alfred Jacob Farm?
Yeah, we're looking at the one that's
Okay.
on the screen. It's a different.
I've got a smaller screen, so I'm having to pull it up. Okay.
Okay, so on this one, you can see where that MR was in the previous example.
Yeah.
That here we've got 2 dash dash dash. What they mean by that is in real life, that dash 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 would have numbers. So the national genie that's verifying or approving this document said, I see that this lineage link is coming to me from a previously verified application. And it's that application's member's number that's going into this slot here where that MR was in the previous example. So you always have something that shows where the lineage link was proved by.
So that is valid if it's got either one of those things,
Right. That's just the way that the
either a member number or
some
marriage record or death certificate, DC, or that means it's proven.
right.
Thank
And
you.
you're absolutely welcome. And these type of marks you will see if you go back, those of you that are registrars, and you could go and look at your members' verified applications, I encourage you to do so that you can go look at these marks. You now have the code. And if you don't remember it from what I've just told you, go to the genealogy guidelines and look. Kim, do you remember I gave a class on this?
Yes,
Did you get anything out of that class? I mean, do you see this?
yeah,
And so that what that teaches us as we review another person's work is how important it is. You know, if we get an idea of the audience that we're trying to please, who would be the national genies, if we get an idea of what they want, we have a better job of being able to provide them what they need, in my opinion. How many of you are not familiar with the term build an app? Okay, let's go look at,
I'm not either.
okay, thank you. We're going to look at that for a second. Okay. How many of you are not familiar with the GRS? Marion, you're fine. Okay, the GRS is just a compilation.
Yes, I am.
Okay, compilation of all of the applications over a period of time. It's the database. And I'm going to go into it here. And of course, it's got a lot of good stuff in it, of course, including the GRC, which we could get into at another time if you guys want to. I love talking about any of this stuff. But the big thing about the GRS is it's got the ancestor, member, and descendants separate databases that we can use as tools to drill down on and look for something. So I wasn't planning on using or giving an example of this, but let's see. Okay, so let's say that we had let's say we're looking to tie into this person, this Louis Yancey. Try to think of the best way to go about doing this. Okay, so here we are being able to tie into Louis Davis Yancey. He's a strong patriot because he's not coded. In fact, let's go. If I'm clicking too fast and you guys want to know where I'm at and how I got there, you just yell. Okay, here's Louis Davis Yancey. I know this guy well. He's my great granddaddy. So we're looking at him. And we can see that he's a strong contender because he's got I've seen more, but he's got a lot of descendants that are tied into him. And he's also not coded. And the applications are recent.
What do you mean he's not coded? I'm sorry.
No. There are codes that are put on a lot of Patriots, Marion, and it'll be up here. There'll be some sort of message that says must prove service
Okay.
and that sort of stuff. And we could do a whole session on that if you guys wanted to.
Well, I understand now that I get a definition. That's fine. I've encountered that.
That's kind of jargon, and that's pretty bad to use. So I'm glad you asked. Also, what's kind of cool about this guy is if we were going to use him for an application, he's got recent numbers. And for me, it's hard to keep track of what's the most recent number. I believe we're up to oh my goodness, look at this one already. But we're up to the 105 numbers. And I know my my member number is 9120008. So I consider, are they more recent than I am? And that way I know it's more recent. The standards have changed considerably since I joined 12 years ago, but still that gives me an idea. Look at these strong numbers that we've got after me. So now this S means that there are supporting documents available, which is fine, but they're missing the D, and that's where the descendants list is available for this member and this ancestor. The reason that they're not here typically is that they are so new that the system hasn't caught up with getting them into the system. They are on their way. So we'll go to this one right now. So we've decided that we want to tie in, let's say we're related to Elvina Kitchens. Okay. And we know that her father is Benjamin and mother Delphia, and her grandfather is Louis Davis Yancey with his wife Mary. And we're always encouraged to use the build-in app. Well, we can do that right here. Build starter application with list. This is all kinds of fun and exciting instructions for you to read. And after you read it once, you've probably got it down on what you need to do, because now we're going to just start building the application. Now, the application that we're tied into, remember, we tied into Elvina Kitchens. So that means if we're related to Elvina Kitchens, we're probably related to Charles, but they have a different son or child. So we can omit this generation because we're going to fill it in with our own generation. Did you get that?
Mhm.
Not exactly.
Okay. When we put together an application, we already know the lineage line by the time we get to the application itself. And
Okay.
I will talk about this for sure next month. What we're going to learn next month is we are going to spend some time with the application worksheet. It is my best friend and favorite tool when it comes to doing any research for a DAR application. Did we lose Barbara?
No, I'm
Do you
here.
get those
Okay.
online now?
There you go.
I'm what? Do you have me?
Yeah. I see you.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, so we just decided that when I'm working on this application, I don't need this generation because my ancestor is not Benjamin Harrell. It's one of Charles Harrell and Elvina Kitchen's other children.
Okay.
Everything from this point on, I agree with and I tie into, but not this one or this one. So I'm taking them off of the application just because they don't belong on my application.
And how do you do that?
By clicking this little line here that says omit generation. That's all I
Uh,
clicked on. So I'm
okay, I
restoring
gotta
it so
find
I
it.
can, it bounces. I'm sorry about that, but I'm omitting it.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah. And there's stuff in there. Okay, so then you need to make a determination. Am I is this the 8th generation, the 9th generation, the 7th generation? Where does this fall into my lineage or into the application I'm working on for someone else? Where do I need this? And so you have the opportunity to shift it up or down by using these little keys up here. Do you see those?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let's say he's further away from me than I need. So now that first couple that I'm going to tie into is 9 generations or the 9th generation away from what I need. And you can move it back up. And it's okay to make a mistake. You're not going to break anything. So, oh, I didn't mean to shift it down. I meant to shift it up. So I got to put it back up. And then I got to do it again so I can get it in the right spot. And there it still stays. So you play with this template and then you're like, okay, I've got everything where I want it. Now I'm going to build the application. And then you click here to download. Let's see. What chapter yearbook?
Hey, Susan, you might want to remind them that they have to have the Adobe Reader already installed.
I think you did a great job. Why is it trying to do it again?
Yeah. Is there a particular version of Adobe Reader that you have to have installed?
I don't think so. Do they have it on the website?
Yes.
Okay. I've got Adobe Reader, but I didn't know whether it was an updated. I think it is.
Susan, it's at the top of the screen
Okay.
Is it?
where your downloads are, right next to your picture.
Okay.
DAR has an agreement with Adobe so that you can download it free from the DAR website if you don't have it.
Okay.
So I have downloaded the application. Why is it not?
I have
Got
heard,
it.
Susan, I have heard that, like one of my friends has one of the big suites that she pays for. And we did have some issues of her being able to keep it and then, download it and get it onto the application. She just ended up downloading the free DAR Adobe besides her own personal one.
Okay.
I don't know if other people have had that happen before.
I have the full
Well, I
feature.
don't have the big fancy one, so I'll be fine.
I will tell you what, no matter if you have the full blown, I've got the full blown version, Barbara, and I don't have any problems. So I
Well,
think
that's
it's
good.
yeah.
But we couldn't troubleshoot it. We just kept on trying to figure, she couldn't figure it out. We kept losing the data. And then she just downloaded the one off of DAR and that worked. So it
Okay.
could be her sister. I don't know. I'm just pointing it out that sometimes
Thank you.
there are problems.
I know that no matter which version you use, you need to save it to your computer. There have been repeatedly so many people that have spent hours working on an application and then they lose it because they didn't save it before they started working on it. Do
Absolutely.
not be a victim of that. So, you guys see the application on the screen, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. So these are just the cover pages with instructions. But look at the magic that's just gone on here. Do you see this? This is why building an app is so important. These 3 generations that I'm saying I can tie into are already right where I need them to be. Now I will tell you, we just looked at those tick marks versus the check marks versus the parens. Well, there is shorthand embedded right here within this. And so when the genealogists see that there are dashes between the dates, they know that it's very possible and probable that those were pre-populated by the build an app application. And so when you go to write a date like, let's say I'm redoing Elvira Kitchens, just to give you an example, we would do, let me blow this. We would typically type in 11 March 1831. We're like, I don't want to have to put those darn dashes in there. Don't put those darn dashes in there. That helps the genies know that's been put there because of other applications that have been previously verified.
So you do put the dashes in, or
Do
you
not.
do not? Okay.
You're not. Of course, there's, the very first time I heard about Build It App, I thought, oh, I've got to do it exactly the way that they want me to do it. And I did all of the, no, just leave those alone unless you've got new information and you can make this lineage better.
Like the exact birthday or
Right.
okay.
Or let's say that you found out exactly where Elvina was born instead of just Georgia.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Can I ask just a question
Yes.
about, okay. If I were going to do a supplemental, I would do it for John Easton of Carteret County, North Carolina. He is already an ancestor,
Okay.
but he's not an ancestor with my line.
That's common, Marion.
There's
lot of-
another child. There are about 5 more children, actually.
A
And
lot of the applications.
would I just enter mine and let somebody else worry about the others
Yes,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
and prove it.
right.
Some of the rest of them are involved in my proofs, because a will is one of the proofs. And so I didn't know whether I should just do do my ancestor, and if it mentions somebody else, that doesn't matter.
It does not. All you're
Okay.
doing is proving your lineage, your
Okay.
link to link for,
All right.
one generation to the next. So
And we don't know who the mother of any of these people are.
that's okay, as
Oh.
long as you can prove the father to the
Okay.
child.
All
And
right.
then what you would do
Because
is you,
there's okay, excuse me.
that's okay, you,
Go
for the
ahead.
name, you would put in XX
Okay.
for the
Well,
mother.
that's already been done by the other people,
Okay,
but okay.
that's fine.
Well, that's great.
Are there any questions about this building app? Because I've got other things I was going to go on for, but we don't have to. I want to make sure you guys are getting what you want out of this.
Susan, something that happened to me recently, at the end of a generation, I'll just give the example where the marriage is, and it gives a place. I put VA for Virginia and printed it out on regular legal size paper that was not the archival paper to double check. When I printed it on the archival paper, the VA jumped from the marriage location and went on to the area where had been the child of that generation being the biological parent. And I asked Cindy Parnell, our registrar general, and she said there are cases where that happens, and you just got to be sure that you actually go and look at the archival paper again, because and she said she has heard that sometimes, in some cases, the Adobe gets very, it'll freeze, or it will just get difficult to work with and can't even take it out or whatever. So just always be careful and preview that archival paper, because it does happen. And she admitted that she's had lots of reports of
Huh.
this type of thing happening.
That's interesting.
How do you tell from looking at the archival paper?
Well, because the archival
false.
paper, that there was no VA in the marriage location, it got put into where the name of the child should have been in the next generation. So it had to
I
be.
thought you meant that you could look at the archival paper and say, "Oh, this is going to play tricks on us." But you just
No, I printed it out,
just-
and I printed it out, and it was wrong.
just check the proof. Okay.
Yeah, but in the previous printout, it was correct.
Hmm.
And there have been some other cases where I know people have had problems with the Adobe Acrobat freezing on them, and they can't do anything. They can't fix it. In the past, you could send it up there with a note saying that, there was a problem, but I don't think we can do that right now with supplementals because of the first contact letter, because things like that will generate a first contact letter if you don't fix it. I'm just saying, be very, very careful. Even if you've proofread a draft copy, when you put it on your archival paper, just proofread that also to make sure that it is printed correctly. Because the case I'm telling you actually happened. I had somebody in the room with me when it happened, and it printed it once correctly, and then the next time it did not.
So just
And
look at it
how do
before
you tell? What do you do about it?
Well, I fixed it.
you have to print it again.
Yeah, I printed it again.
So on another piece of archival paper.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Just review what you submit,
Okay.
really.
Now, and one person had called me about 2 weeks ago that was having a hard time because those little things that Susan showed you that say up at the top, shift down, shift up. And that particular registrar could not get those to not print on her paper. And she had tried all kinds of things, and our solution was, I hate to say it, but do the application over again because she had been sent electronically in an email an application from her applicant. When she actually typed it again in her own system, she did not have that problem.
Interesting.
So there's apparently some glitches that happen from time to time that have to deal with the Adobe dealing with your own system.
Do we have any other questions about this? Because I wanted to get on to my big push for GEP courses, if you guys are okay with that.
I can just confirm what Barbara was saying. I work at Furman and we just did a huge print switch from Sharp to Penultas over the summer, and we are noticing Macs do not print well with Adobe. So anytime you do something on a Mac, it doesn't agree with Adobe 100% of the time. So
Thank you.
you're not crazy.
Well, it
Well,
made me feel a whole lot better when our registrar general said, thank you for telling me, and you are not the first one, and we have had, and then she, told me some other things. So yes, I did feel a whole lot better.
I want to go back to this special screen here. Remember, this was, let's see.
Yeah.
This is just when you tap on this genealogy, you're going to get to this. This is where a lot of good stuff is. And the next thing I want to show you. So this is another way we could have got to the GRS where we just did the build an ad. But then down here, we've got the GEP courses. Of course, you can read this at any time you want to, but here's the stuff on the actual GEP courses. You need to register and build an account in order to purchase any of these courses. The fees for these courses and the prerequisites are different. So for GEP 1, see, I believe there's no prerequisite. Yeah, there's no prerequisite for this one, but it does cost $75. And they do everything through this NSDAR, myshopify.com. And it's not without its own problems. I'm not saying that everybody's got problems with it, but there are some hitches in the get along here and there that some of our members are having. This one builds on the lessons from the first course, and so it's required that you take GEP 1 before you take GEP 2. The cost of this one is also $75. And you guys, I took this back in 2014 and it was $75 then. So, I mean, it might sound like a lot of money, but it hasn't gone up. On this one, you have to take GEP 1 and GEP 2 before you can get to GEP 3. And I believe it's $75 also. And those are kind of like the genealogy guidelines. It's going to cover pretty much the same big umbrella that the genealogy guidelines cover. But then we get some of the special topics, and GEP 4, you don't even have to take 1, 2, and 3 to take this one on the DNA and how it's used by the DAR. I think it's wise. I mean, why would they have them numbered the way that they did if they didn't kind of build on one another, and you get to have a better idea of what they're talking about, but it's not required to take it. And the price for this one is $75. Register, oh, they kind of got this out of order. GEP 5 is how to use e-apps. There was no requirement for it, and it's only $25. Barbara, have you done any e-apps?
No, we tried to do one with a young applicant who was all excited about it. The problem was she couldn't get documents to me in a timely manner. And so I didn't get to have the experience. I know for simple applications, it's supposed to be super, but for complex applications, it's not. Have you done any?
No.
No, okay, and I've heard a couple of things that I have heard from other like seasoned registrars is that they're not as, they like the paper application better. You can't do anything that's complex, like you can't do an analysis, you can't do a new Patriot, you can't do anything that maybe you might have to use
So a child
an
or a
explanation.
grandchild of a member would be good to go through something like
Something
this.
that's just real simple, or like a naked, what we call naked or streaker,
Okay.
type of thing. Some registrars are just saying that they just don't care for them. They do both of them, but they just don't care for them. But I guess we'll probably eventually be going in that direction. You might ask Gina. Hey, Gina, have you done any electric? Have you done any apps?
I have not done any e-apps. I'm considering doing one, but what I couldn't figure out was I was going to do my cousin's, but I couldn't figure out whether it was going to make her do it or if it would just let me do it.
You can actually, there's a workaround that if the applicant doesn't want to do it, I forgot what the workaround is, but I remember when I was taking the course and maybe heard some sessions that there is a way that if you have an applicant that just doesn't want to do the electronic herself, that there's a way that you can do it for her.
Okay, I'll go back and look at that because I was going to try that one.
But like I said, I was really excited when this was right when e-apps came out, and I had a young person in her 20s. She was living, it was going to be perfect because she was living in DC. But it was just a struggle to get the documents. Her mother lived here, so I could get a lot of the documents from her mother because we were building off of her mother, but it was an old application, so a lot of things had to be corrected. And I ended up going back to a paper application.
Okay, yeah, this one should be very easy. I was just trying to figure out how I could do it versus having her do it.
Gina, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's something in that request thing.
Okay,
And I would have to go back to my notebook you've taken that course, I'm sure.
yeah, I did.
It might be in that book. Uh, if we could find some other registrar, there is one, well, she's no longer a registrar who's doing a lot of electronic. I know
Okay,
Nan
I'll see
Jones,
what I can find out.
I know Nan Jones did not do electronic applications. But I know there's a way that you can, as the registrar, be able to fill in the stuff for the
Okay.
individual.
All right, thanks.
I got a question here, which is good. Deborah's asking if we have paid for a course in the past, do we need to pay to study the new guidelines? I know with myself, I took the DNA course when it first came out about 2016, 17. Oh my goodness gracious, everything changed, and they've redone the DNA portion of the whole application and how you go about doing it. At the first time, only the Y DNA was accepted. Now they're taking autosomal. So I asked, can I take this course over? And they said, yes, but you have to pay for it because it's a new course. So I don't know, Deborah, if that answers your question or not. I don't believe that once you take the course,
Chloe.
what was that?
I'm sorry. Yelling at my
I-
dog.
I don't believe any of the information is still available for you if that's what you're asking. Does that, Kim, you said that was a good question. Does that answer your question too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So this other course is called the Mid-Level Review Training. And with the e-app, there is a mid-level reviewer. And so there's no prerequisites for this. And it's only $10. So that's the only course I have yet to take. Isn't that terrible? I'm just not excited about the e-app. So when I saw the mid-level reviewer, I'm like, I don't know how much I want to know this, but now in order to get my full slate, trained out, I am feeling like convicted to take this course. So
No,
that's
Well, and
there's
they-
prerequisites for that one.
no, and there should be, I think, Marianne. I mean, I would think that you should take the e-apps course in order before you take the mid-level reviewer, but according to the course structure, it's not.
And they're
And-
not taking any reviewers right now, so they put you on a wait list if you want to be a reviewer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, this one is very, very, very important. And I've been sending out emails to all of our registrars in the state, encouraging them to take it. This is only available to registrars. For that reason, it is free. It is a very good course, but in order for the DAR to keep their income stream going the way that it is, it's kind of designed for the registrars to give them an overview of everything that they need while they've walked into their position. I got a email from a registrar that just took it, and I said, okay, what did you think of it? And she said it was awesome, but it was also pretty intense. They throw a lot of information at you in a short one course. And that makes sense because the registrar training course is actually an abbreviated GEP 1, 2, and 3 in one course.
Susan, may I add something to that?
Sure.
There are some things in the registrar's course that you do not find in the guidelines. One of them is implied residence.
Uh-huh.
Because I had to do an application that was involving an implied residence. In other words, when you can't find a document to fall between April 19th, 1775 and November, I want to say 26, 1783. You can use documents before and after to be able to, where the residence is the same of the patriot. That is not in the guidelines. And I remember calling up my chain of command and saying, I know I've read this, I know I've read this, I know it exists. And they said, oh, it's in the guidelines. Go read the guidelines. It's on page such and such. And I'd go back to that. And so then it hit me, it was in the registrar's course. And so then I wrote back to that individual and said, I found it. It's very explicit, explains it in the registrar's course. And then I didn't check this before this conference, but I believe sensitive issues is discussed more in the registrar's course because when they developed the registrar's course, they were developing the sensitive issues. And I think it's in there a whole lot in more detail. So there are some things that are in that
Yeah.
course, even though it's several years old.
But it's a good course. I mean, I've
Yes.
been talking to some people that are pretty upset because they would pay to take it. So,
Yes, yes.
I kind of wish they would give us that option, but if you are a registrar, you are missing out if you don't take this course. And then the last one, they just let out April of this year, and it's on supplementals. And since we are the Volunteer Genealogist Committee and we focus more on supplementals than we do on prospective member applications, if you have not taken this course, I highly encourage it. It is a $75 course. In my opinion, it was worth it. I mean, if GEP 1 and 2 and 3 are $75, this has got enough meat in it to be worthy of that $75 also, in my opinion. So, are there any questions about the GEP courses? The other thing, and I'm sitting here going, 2 hours is probably a little marathon-y. We might we might get done here. The last thing I wanted to share was the doc. Now I know that my heart, Kim, is on that doc all the time, and I appreciate that she'll let me know, oh, I found this. And I gotta admit, I am not on the doc all the time. I have they've got a way of sending you emails consolidating like all the activity under a topic. And so I peruse those emails every morning when I'm having my coffee. So to get to the doc, okay,
What is the doc?
we're gonna get there, Marion.
Okay.
So new idea. And I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay, so we have just logged into the members website. This is one way to get there. This is probably the easiest way to explain. Right over here, there's something called community. And what that stands for is the Daughters Online Community, Marion. So the
Mhm.
doc.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of people say it's like Facebook. I don't think it's that much like Facebook. It's a way to share messages back and forth. Is about the only way that I can say that it's like that. Let's see.
It really is more like a community chat.
That's a good way to put it, Kim. Now, I had already logged in today. Don't tell Kim. She,
I've logged in today too.
I bet you have. I was gonna say I depend on her. I don't want her to stop feeding me when she sees that there's something I might want to know about. So if I had not logged in, you might need to log in, and you would just, if you have not already set up credentials to do that, you would be given the chance or the opportunity to get a way to log in. And so as soon as I logged in, I could go to communities. Now, I've already been into the doc, and so I've already set the communities I'm interested in. But here are all the committees that are under the communities. They're broke out just in the same sort of way that our committee structure is, as far as the genealogy, member engagement, service, or special. But then there's also different clubs or interest groups. I'll just show you what I've got here for mine. Kim, I should let you do this.
Oh no.
Here are my committees or my communities that I've liked, and I'll show you how to go about doing that. As you can tell, I've got a little bit, American Heritage Committee is something I'm interested in, and that is not a genealogy committee at all. It's our Crafters Guild, if you will. And so everything within the DAR that you're interested in will show up here. Barbara and I went to the GRI, as she mentioned earlier, and they had a very nice, active community going on, 185 members, and there was 253 discussions. Just a lot of information was shared during that building up for that institute. But then here's a lot of the other groups that I am interested in. Again, commemorative events is not a genealogy group. Flag of the USA is not, but you could just have just about anything that, and I'll show you how to get to that. The very end here, we've got our volunteer genealogist committee. And so I want to show you what is available in here. This is what the doc looks like when you open it up. You've got your community home, threads, which are just some of the active online discussions that are going on within the community. A library, and this is something I really want you guys to see. Within this community, there's this library of reference for our committee material. I've looked at a couple of these, and I am going to go back. Lou Walker is a rock star, and she's put together a whole presentation on an AIR supplemental and what she went through or what she saw. I will tell you that you need to go in here and download this. Another one of our rock stars put this together for a reference guide for how to go through the genealogy guidelines and find the topics. So if you want to know about vital records, if you want to know about how to cite them, you go to page 70. If you want to know when the vital record is a personal copy and online, or the online citation, use here. Also, it's really hard to see. I'm going to have to blow it up. They've given us examples of how to cite right here in this little 2-page form. I guess it's a 4-page form. How to cite online sources, how to cite census records, newspapers. And again, they've also cross-referenced it with where to go in the genealogy guidelines to find out more information about these topics. It goes on, pension and bounty land records, court records and deeds, church records, with all kinds of beautiful examples. Now, this is one of those things I like to have printed out and put in a file folder next to in the big drawer in my desk that I call my toolkit, because a lot of times I want to refer to it as I'm typing up the information for an application, and I can go directly to this to get an idea of how that citation should look. And we've got examples. It's a lot easier than trying to figure it out. DAR's got their own language for citations. I've done research before, and I've never learned the DAR language anywhere but in the DAR. Another thing that's kind of nice to know. The way that they want things abbreviated. To me, a lot of I get confused, and I'm embarrassed to admit, but what is the A and what is the P? To me, it's just not intuitive. So if I've got something I could reference, by now you'd think I'd figure it out, but no, I still have to look it up. It also breaks down discussions that you're going to see on different points of interest, like ancestor service. Oh, I can go to page 84. So it's just a miraculous document that's got so much going on in there. And again, we found that on the doc, and it was in the library of the Volunteer Genealogist. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the library. Actually, I want to put it back out here because there's another fascinating document that I want to make sure you have. But it's in the Lineage Research Committee. Now, it doesn't mean that there is some crossover, like we just talked. They are two different committees, but you can be a member of the Doc Systems Lineage Research Committee without any problem. With any of the committees, it's there for information sharing. The special thing about it, what's really this is all about, is I like the library, but it's all these discussions that are going on. So somebody asked in the Lineage Research Committee this question. You click on it here. Actually, I believe Gail answered. Let's see. Yeah, here's the original questions way up here. I have an application which is complete except for dates or the birth or death of the female in Generation 7. I have been unable to locate any records to confirm birth, death, or burial, blah, blah, blah. I mean, so that was the original question. And then she's got these people, experts, a lot of them at the national level, that are providing answers. And they retort back and forth. They have this little online community conversation. And that's really what the doc is about. But in the Lineage Research Committee in the library, they've got 255 documents in here. The one thing I like is they do keep it updated immediately here in the doc on if there's been any updates to the genealogical guidelines. The genealogy gems, I encourage each of you to read this. These are good. They are interesting. They're well written. They're quick reads. And I know I can just sit out on my back porch on my phone, pull it up. Whether I'm drinking a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, it's all right there and easy to enjoy. But this is what I really am excited to share with you. It's the very first thing today, anyway, because she just shared an updated version on September 16th. And our experts go through and they find these wonderful online sites. And then they compose for us to use this huge, let me scroll down so you can see what I'm looking at. These are all links to great information, to databases, to a lot of times archives that have got things. So the best way to get there, of course, is to look for, state specific or resource specific. So let's say that we want to look at South Carolina. It's on page 23. So I'll scroll down to page 23. Or I could just look into the alphabetical order. And here are some great resources that are available online. Like if we're doing research in Charleston, we might be interested in the Orphan House Index. Here's a book on Google Books of the statistics of South Carolina. And especially when you're writing an analysis, this might be something that may be of interest if you have got statistics you can look at. There's the stub entries. A lot of things I really didn't know here, like the South Carolina. If I'd known it, maybe I hadn't seen it for a while. That's special. Let's go to a lot of times we might know a lot of the resources available to us for South Carolina, but especially if our people are going outside of that area, it might be. Let's hope this. So here's the South Carolina Historical Society and the information that they've got. Let's see. There we go, from the vault. So what have they got? Here's a podcast that you might want to listen to that will help you get more information. And it even says right there, tales of the daily events of the regiment during the beginning of the Revolutionary War. Now, Barbara, have you been to this site much?
Which, the South Carolina Historical Society?
Yeah.
That, I've been a member before, and I have researched in their archives that are now at the College of Charleston. I think you still have to make an appointment. You used to not have to make an appointment, but oh my gosh, their archives themselves have tremendous information.
This is all about how to get there, this whole page.
I mean, they have maps that are unbelievable. They just have all kinds of archival. I read the journals of Thomas Ravenel because I was looking
wow.
for my husband's ancestor to prove something, and found him listed in the diary.
Oh, wow. So here's, again, we're not going to look at each one of these, but this is just an example of something that we were able to get from that first document, remember? Yeah, this one that was on the Lineage Research Committee doc. And that's just one link. I will tell you, there are some that are broke, but in general, having, what is it, like 54 pages? 26 pages of links is a godsend. They also have major genealogy bases, of course, Family Search, and then US GenWeb. If you're not familiar with that, it's definitely a good resource. The National Archives Searchable Catalog, the Library of Congress, Ellis Island, genealogy compilations, Debbie Dwight's website. That is a rock star. That's an amazing website. So just, tools that can help you with Roman numerals or measuring or just all kinds of amazing, great websites. And it's all here in the doc. So are there other questions about, there might be, about the doc? Let's see, I'll show you this. So here's the different committees. Let's say that I'm interested in member engagement. Here are the different committees that are under member engagement. So I'm already a member of some of these. Let's say I'd like to look at the junior membership committee. What is it all about? So of course it gives it a little bit of a synopsis here as far as what it's all about, but then you can just go in like we did on that last one and look at the latest discussions. Now, it's going to show you if somebody has answered a question, what you see here at the top of this page is the most recent answer that came out to any question. So as you're scrolling through and looking at things, you might actually want to look at the threads. This puts more focus on the actual topic, and you can scroll down and see if there is something in here that is of interest to you. So like maybe the junior shop's hot items for September is something that's of interest to you. And so here's someone who's posted that they are sharing favorite items throughout the week, or they're advertising so that they can sell us stuff so they can raise money for the juniors. If you get to the point that you're looking for, let's say, that's not a good one. Let's go back. Here's a good one. You're interested in this photos needed for juniors for DAR Today podcast. You can follow it and look at it and read it. But then also tomorrow you can come back and see by looking at just the first page of it if anybody has added anything new. You can join the community by just clicking on this little button over here. And this is where you can sign up to get what I get every morning, to see what the yesterday's interaction was all about. And you can decide if you want to get a daily consolidated digest, weekly, or you want to be notified every time there's any kind of discussion going on, any new information on that committee or that community. So are there any other questions about the doc? Or Kim, can you think of something? You're my expert on this, sweetie. Can you think of anything else that I need to share about it?
The only thing I'll say about the doc is usually you find out what's going on the doc before you find out online on the website. Um, and all of the national officers do participate on the doc. So like when the CMR came out, it was notified on the doc before it was posted on the website.
Hmm.
And I think that the quality of the way that they answer the questions is a lot better on the doc. They're more
Mhm.
focused than on, especially genealogy type questions. Those are the ones I follow on Facebook a little bit. I learn a lot. I learn a lot by reading those.
You
But
get
you
a,
get direct answers here
you get a
versus
lot of daughters helping daughters. And off the national officers also help answer questions. It really is a community.
and
One thing,
you're getting good quality answers by those
Yeah,
national officers. Yeah.
one thing too, Susan, is in lineage research, it's sped up. Like some individuals are posting, can anybody go find
Mm.
such and
right.
such a certain place? And there might be a member who says, hey, I live right next to that repository. I'll go
Right.
do it. Or they may even have a resource in their office or whatever. So I will say, I do the lineage research, the volunteer genealogists and registrars. I think you get a tremendous amount of information from the lineage research. It's overwhelming. But
Yeah.
you do get a lot of really good research information. And there's
And quality.
sometimes there are questions about the application itself. And I think Susan Johnson, our national chair, also will add things on the volunteer genealogist
Oh,
doc.
she's on all of them.
Yep, yep. And usually they're fast in their answers.
Oh, yeah.
So do you guys have any other questions or anything else you want to cover? Wasn't meant to be a training session, but I don't mind doing that if that's what you would like. What I kind of wanted it to be, which, it could be whatever this committee wants it to be. I can't be a chair and say it has to be this or has to be the other. I want to make sure that this is our committee and that we're doing, like Barbara said, the total goal once we get there, and right now this committee's light is to be able to provide good quality help when chapters are in need. So right now, trying to get the education out there to where we can say we know what we're doing is where my heart really is at. I'm here, a email away. A lot of times the best way to contact me. I do have, these 3 supplementals that we need somebody to embrace. Is anybody ready for that. I've actually got a couple of volunteer genealogists that are excited. They're not with us today, that are enthusiastic to get going. So I will be picking on them, but there's three of them. So if anybody else in the room is looking for something to do, I've got some.
My plate's so full because I'm taking the leadership course. I've just signed up now for the supplemental. So I feel like
Good for you. Yeah, but your husband's gonna be out of town. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna have 10 days, just knock it all out. But I mean, I will say that that's the only reason I'm kind of hesitant, because I just today signed up for the supplemental course. And once I do something, I lock myself in a room and I just, because I
Good.
just feel like I can do it better that way.
You'll be done in 2 days. Call me.
Yeah, you
But
will. It's
I do want to help, because I actually have two air letters and then one that's a 6 month. And I feel like I've done everything that I could possibly do to help this one with the 6 month. This was, going back for 2 years, but I've come up with 3 patriots, a lot more patriots than we can use, but there was a lot of holes and stuff like that. So I feel like I've done everything I could do. Use the task force, the lineage group, the 250, and they were all sent back. It was all sent back. So that's the only one that is going to bother me, is that that one, because it's my first one, that's going to probably end up being rejected. And I feel really bad, because this lady really wanted to do it. But then since she has moved out of the state, and so I don't know what else to do. I don't know what to do. I mean, I talked
Well,
to
you said
Susan
she
about
moved
it.
out of the state and you gave her everything that you had, right? I mean,
I did, and in lieu of her hiring a professional, and the other two air letters, I would like to. I'm going to fill a form out, but one of them, there was a lot, and one of them I said, would you consider hiring a a professional genealogist? And she said the price was $3,000, and I can't believe that's that much, but that's outrageous.
Now she's moved to North Carolina.
The one that's going to be returned has moved to North Carolina.
So, can you pave the way to people in North Carolina to possibly help?
Well, that's the one that I have. I've used the original lineage board first, and that was when they did and a lady from Texas wrote an analysis for us. We turned that in, it was rejected. I mean, it was, I went over it with Susan. There's a lot of that I did, that I even came up with 3 patriots, and those were all, the 2 other ones, and then I actually found 4 others. I mean, she has the lineage by book on ancestry.com. It says she has it, but we can't. There's just so many holes and so many things. But the one in particular that moved to North Carolina, she said the analysis, lineage research, turned it over to the American Task Force, and it was changed to 250. And mercy, scared me half to death. But it's all since been rejected. They just said that they can't help me. So I don't know what else to do. And I'd take some suggestions, but I went over it with Susan, and she said that she didn't know either.
well, and the thing that I got out of it, Jenny, is that you said you gave her everything and she's moving out of state. So it's,
You sort of moved,
yeah, unless you're still in touch with her at all. I mean, where she moved to, we could possibly find a chapter there And I don't know, Barbara, maybe they would be able to take a fresh stab at it if they had.
Well, yeah, there's some really good North Carolina, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about
But she moved to Gaston. It's Gaston.
Gaston County.
I
North
think
Carolina.
so. I'll have to look. I got her
That's near
address.
Gastonia. It's near the border of South Carolina and North Carolina. The chair of the regional area, Southeastern Division, is an excellent genealogist. I believe she actually lives in Raleigh and has access to the archives. Sometimes you can hire a professional and get documents, but a lot of times the professional doesn't understand the DAR requirements, and that gets very frustrating for, for the professional. I'm not discouraging you from a professional, but there's the DAR way, and even the director of our genealogy department will say we have the DAR way.
Right. I feel like I've exhausted what I think the DA is, because I've done the lineage research, the task force, then it turned into 250, and everybody has sent me letters back saying they can't help me.
Well, I can tell you about a case recently where we just kept, see if I can do without identifying situations. I was given a call and I told the registrar that you are able to email the genealogist, and if she says no, then you accept that. But I said my experiences have been that most of the genealogists will respond in a particular, they'll respond. And this particular genealogist had a back and forth that was very positive and very good. And then she made a suggestion as to where to send it next. It went to the task force. And in the meantime, the registrar did some more digging because we thought we brainstormed a lot more lineage aspects. She found some more. It was assigned to a genealogist in another part of the country who said, nope, nope. Well, I had an opportunity to talk with a member on the task force, and I said, we really, really appreciate all the work that the volunteers have done. But the registrar who has done a lot of lineage research really and truly feels that things are being missed. Is it possible to have someone else just review it? And she said yes. So they reviewed it. They made some more suggestions, which then helped the registrar some, but she still felt like the track she was on was correct. Resubmitted using some of the new information that was done through the process, plus her own, wrote up a new analysis, and it was accepted. You just have to be careful you might be able to find some people in North Carolina that, now is the research in North Carolina or is the research in a totally different state?
It's totally different, and it's in a burned out Hardin County
In Kentucky.
Tennessee.
Oh, in Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Okay. I just had a phone call from a researcher in Tennessee who had said to me, if you ever need any help, so maybe you and I need to talk.
Okay, I'll call you. I'll email you, and I turned everything back over, so I don't have. Unfortunately, she moved, and I have. She has all the documents, but I can probably get them, because they're all online.
Well, and sometimes it's just a matter of someone else seeing something, but it could be, you've got this many people, and supposedly we're only supposed to spend 20 hours of research. But you all know that we spend 20 to the nth degree or to the whatever power, on it. But you might get somebody who's a volunteer and said, I've done my 20 hours. But Susan and I've talked many times, it's perspectives and like her experience with her research when she's asking questions and we go back and forth, and then I think of something that I've done, and and you brainstorm and you get all these different avenues of, oh, you know what? Nobody's mentioned looking in that particular area.
Mhm.
So I think
Well-
sometimes you have to, but you do have to be careful to not upset our wonderful leaders that work themselves to death, you know,
Right.
to figure out an avenue of, and putting it down for a little while and readdressing it, or having other people, like in the North Carolina, there may be some fabulous researchers who've had experiences who've said, oh, I know somebody who's an expert in Hardin County. You know, or
But we even joined the her last name Facebook page, and she told me that when I last talked to her is that when she ever was going to make it down there to Tennessee to see some family, that she was going to go by and go to the county courthouse, and so I mean she's still interested. I hate that feeling of having this get, one rejected. It's
yeah, we all hate that. Did you utilize the boots on the team for the boots on the ground, where somebody? Okay, so that would
I
be
did. I used it. That was
Southeastern, the
was that I forgot
Southeastern
what that was called, but
Team
they
3
had
Southeastern, Team 3
yes,
Southeastern.
yes. They somebody that I talked to did some research, but it still led to nowhere.
Okay,
It was so it was just one of those frustrating things. That's when I said, well, let me just start. If it gets to do that, let's in the meantime, let's get you to sign. And I had her sign 2 different patriots. So I did. I feel like I have tried very hard to
sounds
get
like
her in, and I just then she said, well, I'm moving, and I was like, ugh. I gave her all her stuff, and so anyway, that's the only one that I have, and I don't know how many registrars have. I just didn't want to have one rejected, and I've got 2 now that I need to work on.
Susan, going back to your question about, have you thought about, is there an application that could be divided, where you could look at where the problems are and divide up some of the work? I know I mean, you always have to look at the lineage within the context, but for example, if there's a linkage problem between generation 5 and 6, focus on that area.
As far as these 3 applications that
Yeah.
I didn't have long to look at them, Barbara, before this, which actually was very invigorating, if you will, However, I did look at them enough to know that I think it's that the grandchild is where they split. Does that
The
make
grandchild
sense?
is a problem of a linkage between the grandchild and the
No.
great-grandchild? No.
All I know is that 2 of the supplemental applications lead to grandchildren of patriots.
Okay, grandchildren of patriots. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I would like to have one volunteer genealogist look at both of those, because by the time you get there,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy. You've got it or you don't, it's like, that's a lot of work to get to that point. It's silly for 2 people to go all that distance, and when
Well,
you're
I
that,
just didn't know whether it was a situation where you could break it down into, a smaller chunk.
I see what you're saying. That's as far as I got. And I did realize that none of the 3 patriots are coded. They're all healthy. They I was starting to drill down to how far away are they from the Patriots, and I did find on that one, that 2 of them lead there to the grandchild, and then I had to stop. I was like, I will look at this more later, but that's about as much as I got to do with it. So
Well, if you would let me sign up in January or whenever I'm through with my courses, I'd be more
well,
than
that's
happy
like
to help.
Gina. I appreciate that, Jenny. Gina has said, as long as it's not tax season, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm available, during tax season. I just have no time. So, where we're at, and Barbara, you've been on this CDRC for a whole administration before. So I don't really know what to expect. I just know that in real life, being a registrar, so I'm sure it's the same in other chapters, you either get a lot of work or a little work. There's not a regular basis
Susan, let me finish the one I'm doing and I'll take one.
How is that going?
You might get it tonight. You might.
Good.
It
We can talk.
depends.
Uh,
Now, that's just the application. I don't have any of the documents.
that's fine. That's we can talk, we can look at it. So I don't know, Jenny, I mean, I could always reach out to, what I've got is a bunch of, I'm a worksheet kind of person. And so I've got this list called Hands Up. And I've got people even color coded on it, on, whether they're excited and ready, or they're sure I'll do it, non-committal, or whether they are like Gina, if I've got the time, as long as it's not within my busy time of year, I would love to help out. I'm interested. I'm very, intrigued. So, um, and
Well, what I
I've,
might do is just tell her, send her an email, and the applicant, and just say, consider, reaching out to, I can try to find a chapter, but she could too. I mean, she found me.
Right.
So, suggest that she resubmit. And I just, some people just aren't going to do that because they don't want to pay the money. So, anyway, I would,
right.
I want to help. I want to help you
Okay.
with supplemental. So, once I
Wonderful.
get through those two
Yep.
courses.
I encourage you guys to drop me an email about any kind of improvements we can make. Like maybe we need to just shoot for an hour and a half instead of 2 hours. Or if there's a particular topic, one of the things I really feel like I want to share is how to keep organized, not necessarily organized in thought. I hear too many times, I got an AIR, which is what I like to call it because we are the DAR, we're not the DAR. So an AIR is an AIR. But I hear too many times from registrars, I got an AIR and I don't know where my file is. I'm like, what? That's something I'd like to talk about. Especially when we are into this process of it taking a while, especially for supplementals. How do we keep our papers together? I do it all electronically so I can show everybody how it is that I do things and how I keep it organized. Not that I am oh my goodness. I keep going like this or like this so that you don't see this. So I'm not saying I'm this great organized queen by any means. Whoops. But I think that's something that's a tool that I believe might help some other people. So if there are other topics you'd like to talk about, or by any means, if you want to bring a topic in about a particular application, supplemental application that you're helping somebody with or your own, we're here for that too. But thank you, Barbara. I really appreciate you joining us today. You do bring a different flavor, and it's a good one to us.
Thank you for allowing me to participate.
I hope you can join us all the time. I would like that.
And I've already got ideas for you.
Oh, I bet you do.
Um, and another thing, in lineage research, we were supposed to get training for Google Docs. And when we send things up, we're expected to do it in Google Docs, and I got no training.
I have never even heard that. Oh, you're talking about lineage research, sending it up to the different.
Any genealogy, anything, because Google Docs handles the large files.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I had to send something this past week to somebody up above me who preferred it to be in email attachments. One was too big and I had to send it to her through Google Docs, and she's struggling too, and she's a leader. But if you send something up to national, they really want it in Google Docs. And
I would benefit
mean,
from getting some training in Google
Me
Docs.
I have,
too. Me
and what we
too.
were supposed to, 2 years ago when they changed everything over, and I have had, I kid with the person who has been helping me. I started out as a dinosaur and I graduated to an alligator, and I'm now an ostrich, and I pull my head out of the sand sometimes, and sometimes I stick it back in. But I am successful now with getting the stuff into Google Docs and getting it up. Gina, do you have to use Google Docs in your line of work?
No, it's my pet peeve.
Meaning that you wish you were, or you hate Google Docs?
I do not like the Google Docs.
Thank you. You make me feel so much
I don't know. I
better.
was thinking, come on, Gina, a little encouragement here.
People they either love it or they hate it, but it wasn't fair to have all these changes and to keep telling us that we were going to be trained. And then I actually made, an appointment to be trained. And when asked a question that didn't know how to answer to be able to help me get into it, said, oh, well, we'll deal with it the next time we assign you something and you have to send it up. And it didn't work. I had to jump in there and get help. And I'm still not an expert, but I'm able to get the documents into a Google Doc and get it sent up to the proper place. But yeah, we're supposed to be using Google Docs.
I know my secretary, Linda Shortlow, she likes using Google Docs, and she'll send me the minutes and everything in it. And I'm like, I need to. She is trying to get us into the next step here, so it's good. And she's right. It's easy to collaborate on it. I can just go right into the minutes and make any corrections that I see instead of, and that's a small document. I mean, it would be very easy for her just to send it to me, but I'm trying. So I could learn a lot. Anyway, girls, let's go ahead and call it a meeting. I know
Okay.
it's getting late.
Barbara,
Yes,
and Susan, can you stay on for just a minute? Do you have time?
I do. Yeah, I do.
You said Barbara and who?
And you?
Oh, are we in trouble?
No, nothing like
We're
that.
getting sent to the principal's
I
office.
know. Well, Jenny,
Thank you.
It'll just
Doreen,
save
and
me
Kim,
2 phone calls.
Thank you so much, Susan.
sure.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Susan.
And
Susan.
everybody
We
else,
really
too.
appreciate it. Thank you.
It was good to see you guys.
Take care. Y'all
All
take
right.
care.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.